We talked last week about who's the best player in Japan. So I have to pose this question to you. Who is currently the best player in all of Europe? Not just UK, all of Europe.
That's a tough question, man. This region, I feel like, not just like Japan, I feel like we've had the old guard of Europe who stayed consistently at that level. Because listen, skill, the relative skill, you got to remember, it's relative. Players get better, some players get worse, and if you stay the same, if you're treading water, you're falling behind, right? So we've seen the old guard in Europe stay strong and continue to improve and say, hey, I'm still the top dog in this region. But we've also seen a lot of players really kind of solidify themselves as being like the top representatives of that region. One of the classic examples, Takamura. I love Takamura's progression in Street Fighter V. I mean, he started with similar to what you were talking about, not getting that respect I felt like in season 2 for being too nutty, too wild. And look where that new perspective has taken him now. The levels he plays at with Akuma, the ideas he brings, he's not scared to try his own things and believe in his own play. It's a beautiful thing to see, and he has a unique style, and that is something that no one can take away from him. And he's been putting in work and, qualifying for Capcom Cup. So Takamura is one of those players. Could he be the best? Maybe, but, okay. I think for me, and I think for a lot of people, it still comes down to the old guard, though. I think we have two or three main contenders, right? You know who I'm going to rattle off right now, right? We got Problem X, we got Infectious, and we have Phenom. These are the three main contenders, but there's people, they're clawing their way up there. So I don't know. It's hard to call between the three. I'll let you go first. Let you do the dirty work, and I'll say what you're wrong after.
Oh, man. So you ducking the smoke a little bit. Just a tad, though. Just a tad. Okay. I'm not going to lie to you, Brian. My answer is not going to be all too popular. I think that historically the best player in Europe is easily none other than man like Problem X. My guy Ben, very strong and is still in the conversation. However, we're speaking on what we can see in front of us right now, and what it seems like is the most informed player is Mr. Crimson right now. I think he's the most informed player right now. Now this is the thing, right? Am I saying that Mr. Crimson is more skilled or less skilled? No, I don't know. I can't judge that. There's not enough history for me to say that he is, However, it matters that Dawson was buffed tremendously by V-Shift existing.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden, that's not Mr. Crimson just of course, Mr. Crimson got better too, but that's not just, I'm not only taking how much better he got himself at making reads and neutral, but the V-Shift changes the character that he's using as well. So I have to take that into account and look at how he's playing in form right now. Then, man won Red Bull Kumite with so much amazing competition when stuff finally got back to offline, when he was already setting records on the Wanted series. Mind you, shout out to Damascus. He was setting records over there. But what are people naturally going to say at that point? Oh, okay, well, he's doing work over there, but it's online, right? It's online. If it's offline, y'all surely would beat his ass, right? He's not that good. We're just hyping up somebody over CFN. Well, okay. Then we have Red Bull Kumite, and he goes and smokes people. But then, all right, well, still, he's not even the best in his region. Luffy's probably nicer than him because, Luffy's that's the older guy, the OG and everything. He's an Evo champion. So no matter what, he could lose 100 times and he gonna be better than everybody, right? Well, not to me. So when what happened after that? They play CPT. Now this is CPT online, right? However, man just won offline, didn't he? So can he get credit for his online now?
Versus Luffy as well.
There too.
So he repeated the same victory again online.
The same thing online. It was the same thing. What are the chances, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know. Maybe RobTV crazy though. Mr. Crimson is now qualified for Capcom Cup. And then who's to say how he does in Street Fighter League? It's good that he's on there at all. But we did see him just in the exhibition. Mind you, in Red Bull Kumite, he beat Adam, correct? In grand finals when Adam was looking unstoppable. Well, him and Adam just had an exhibition at at Street Fighter League that we all just saw. And Mr. Crimson won that convincingly.
Repeated success.
Offline, he just keeps showing you time and time again. So guys, if I can influence even one person out there to change the mindset from the dumb, low-level follower group think, just horrible FGC mentality of, oh well, this guy was good 20 years ago And so he can lose 100 tournaments and he still, no. We talking about right now, not all time, who is currently, to me, playing the best. That is none other than Mr. Crimson. And last thing I'll say, Brian, we hyped up a new guy before. We talked about Higuchi a whole lot before CPT Japan, didn't we? Y'all can go pull up the tapes. Me and Brown was talking about him, saying he's godlike, talking about Topanga League and all that stuff like that. He's 7-0 Itabashi there, 7-0 Itabashi at Topanga League, got second place overall, only losing to Kawano, the other hottest player, who's also a new guy. And then what happened? Higuchi won the whole tournament. Guys, I think we might know what we're talking about here.
Just a little bit. And I think you hit the nail on the head with like looking at who is the most winningest player, because I do think FGC has this weird bias with thinking about skill. What the hell is skill? Can you define that? Can you define that for me? That's the problem with a lot of these kind of discussions, that people leave things purposely ambiguous so that they can shift goalposts. So I think objectively, you're right. And the other issue, which casts a little bit of a shadow on your conclusion, is the fact that we haven't had the full-blown offline tournament circuit league, right? And that's why these discussions become so emotionally charged, because it's hard to get enough data. But with the data we have, Mr. Crimson, I can't. Yeah, you convinced me there. But I'll go with the skill route a little bit here, because I think you mentioned like the meta shifting for Mr. Crimson's favor. I think luck is when preparation meets opportunity, so hats off to him for capitalizing and striking while the iron is hot, of course. But I think when people talk about skill overall, they want to look for a player who is able to keep up with the times and to have a generalized skill set so that they can adapt to a shifting meta. That to me is the best sense of what I can gather what skill means at large. I don't think it's a great definition, because at the end of the day, it just leads you to be personally biased. But with going with that definition, I'd have to go with, to me, I don't know. It's tough. It's still between those three, but I guess I'd have to go with Problem X, because I feel like that guy, his mind is so attuned to what makes a character strong, to what makes a player strong in a meta, to what's the dominant strategy in order to win, to what's the path of least resistance to get a victory. I feel like he just has the mentality to find the opening in the play and to strike when it is his turn and opportunity to do so. So regardless of what the current meta is, I feel like Problem X is just always that player is able to keep up. He's sharp. He's one of the best players too at communicating exactly what his thought process is behind his decisions. That's a talent that not every player has. You talk to some players, they're amazing at the game. They couldn't tell you what the hell they're thinking, right? You'd have to kind of watch it themselves.
Like a natural, it's like a subconscious thing for them.
Right. Right. Or they tell you the exact opposite of what you see on the screen, right? Sometimes you get you get completely false information from what they're saying, because it's not any fault of their own. It's just a different type of skill. Problem X, he can tell you exactly what he's thinking, and the gameplay backs that up. And I think that he's kind of shied away in the online era as much from competing, so that's why he hasn't been popping off as much recently. Not every player is trying to grind in every online tournament, and I respect those that do. Like Hurricane's the other guy we didn't bring up in the UK scene. He's the one who's trying to claim that UK throne, right? He's been doing amazing work recently, but I think Problem X is the one, to me, in Europe that stands the test of time. Phenom and Infectious, of course, do the same, but it's so hard for me to pick.
Luffy.
I think Luffy as well. Luffy's been around for a long time. He's an OG at this point, also an EVO champion. So by razor's margin, I'm going to give it to Problem X here. But you're right, Mr. Crimson, he has the wins recently. He's been doing the work when the opportunities come up. Not many opportunities lately because of COVID, but he definitely got those wins. You got that completely correct. But Problem X, I don't know. Every balance patch, I look to him to find out what's cheap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing. That's important, like, bro. And the fact that I always give people a lot of credit for, and this is where I always give credit. You see the personal bias with all this sort of things. There's so many ways you can go about it. But he created Bison. He created V-Trigger 2. I remember playing casuals with Problem at some offline events soon after V-Trigger 2 came out, and Bison's V-Trigger 1 was like one of the most disliked V-Triggers in the game at one point. Even though it's because the damage he gets is crazy. The dash through stuff isn't all too, that's nothing, but it's a good V-Trigger. So when V-Trigger 2 came out, people were like, people didn't think it was good. And I remember he first hit me with a couple of setups, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And he's like, yeah, I know. I can't wait to play in tournament this weekend. Because he no one knew what was going on. But then after that, this is before anyone was using V-Trigger 2. I remember that, at least effectively. And after Problem played in like one tournament, all the Bison switched to V-Trigger too. Not literally all of them, but you get the gist. The overall player base switched. Kind of like what we're seeing with Sean's Cody with the knife. Now all the Codys are switching to the knife right now.
Same thing with Abigail in season 3. He was one of the first proponents of Abigail doing work, immediately picking him up as a pocket character and taking out world-class players immediately. Yeah. So he's definitely one of the people. He's a trailblazer. Like real quick, he figures out what's the best way to get a win, and so that's a skill that I got to respect. Be able to quickly adapt to a meta and figure out what's the best way to win.
I will say though, when you talk about the online thing, because I'm always gonna keep it a buck, even with problem being a homie and stuff. When you talk about not being as active online and like nah, we talking about activity. Right now, being active means you play online. Like that's the current terrain. So we professional players. This is what we do. Like, so if it's a CPT, like this right here coming up, we about to see problem compete, right? This is what we do. We have to keep our sword sharp under whatever the circumstances, in my humble opinion. Actually, not even humble. In my opinion, I feel like, we've had debates before where I've brought up certain players like Du or Justin or something like that, and you're like, okay, well, they're not active right now. Okay, well, these players not active either then. If you're not playing in tournaments, you're not active to me.